Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kasper Warguła, and I'm going to talk today about getting things together in JavaScript using quite simple modular patterns. Maybe not. Couple words about me. I am front-end specialist living in Poznań. Currently, I work for Cognified in Zengage development team, where I create application in PhoneGap for iPads. Okay, here's my Twitter handle. Please follow me. The mission for today is create a good web application. But what does good actually mean? For me, the good application is application with good architecture and application which have maintainable code. So first of all, we need to create a framework for our app because framework provides the architecture in which we will put our code. So the architecture is a constant patterns and tools for our code. Now I will present some very important principles. First of them is that your code is always changing. In every project that is maintained during at least 1-2 weeks, the code must be written in some good structure to be able to put some changes in it without this anytime. Another very important rule is every client might have different needs, so our application must be scalable and configurable. For example, we must be able to easily remove and add any functionality anytime. And when some ideas will be validated during the development, changes in specs shouldn't be painful, as on the previous slide. Remember that you are a part of the team, and make sure your framework, your code is not over-engineered, and your mates won't to kill you. Keep it simple, stupid. This is a very important rule in software development. Yep, don't do this. And do not reinvent the wheel. You have a lot of features built in your environment, in your tools, in language, in JavaScript, in browsers. And remember, there is no classes and classical inheritance. It's not Java, it's JavaScript. We have object retrievers, arrays, constructors, prototypes instead. So that's important. Use well-supported libraries. The technology is changing all the time. So the libraries, the tools must follow these changes. Do not your own jQuery from scratch. I know the cases of of this idea. It's a very bad idea. Use jQuery, use Zepto, use Sizzle if you want to have if you want to have a selector engine, or just native JavaScript. Don't be a monkey. And remember the obvious. Separate logic from presentation. Do not write spaghetti code. Use MV whatever patterns and reusable constructs. I think that's obvious. It should be. And automate everything. You are a creative person. Do the creative work and other stuff your computer should do. What can be automated should be automated. And you have an enormous palette of tools and IDEs, for example, Yeoman, Bower, etc. Be like these guys. Okay, so that's time for use case. Let's create an application. That's example, medical clinic monitor. This is a spec application which allows user to explore the patient's data. Single user is a member of the clinic personnel. I will present you my proposal of the modular architecture. So first of all, let's divide our functionality into the modules. And by module, I mean wrapper for a single feature logic. This is, for example, database for managing databases, users for login, logout, patient list, which will display our table with patients, and patient preview, displaying patient details. So this is a life cycle of my module. 3 blocks: module, core, and publisher subscriber. Publisher subscriber is our global registry for events. We can publish and subscribe it globally, and this should be the only way for communication between modules. So, first of all, core loads a module and init it with sandbox. Sandbox is, in our case, publisher subscriber, is the way that modules are communicating with each other. So there is an example of subscribe. We need to give an event name and handler, and publish. Event name and data passed to the handler. So let's see how it works in the bigger point of view. This is our application. We have 4 modules: publisher, subscriber, core, and list of our subscriptions. First of all, core loads modules. Patient preview, which must know when he must display details of the patient. So the first subscription. Then we have a patient list, which must know when user is logged. So we listen to the user logged event. Then the patient list must know when database is ready for fetching information about patients. Then we need to know when application is ready. App ready is event published when all modules are initted. So the next subscription. And last module, database. Database must know when application is ready also to create an instance of the database. So after the init, core is publishing app ready event. We have a subscription for that, subscribed by users module. So now the users module can display a login window. Another subscription of AppReady is done by database. So now database is creating an instance. When instance is ready, database publishes the database ready event with the instance. So we have subscribed database ready by patients list, and now patients list can store this instance and fetch information anytime. Next, user typed login and password correctly, so users module can publish user logged event with username. So patients list can be displayed because patients list module subscribed this event. And now when user clicks on the single row of patient, event is published, show patient is published, and patient preview displays a single window with details. And that's how it works. Please notice that all the modules are completely independent. We There is no strict references to each other, so we can just switch off single module. So let's look what will happen. It could be dangerous, but let's see. This is the situation when we have removed single module patient preview, for example, and the situation when patient list publishes the event, show patient, with patient model, and what happens? Nothing. This is what we expected, because we remove a module, so we remove a functionality, but the application is not crashed. So this is how we're rolling, and it was made by a single line of code, could be. What about libraries and helpers? So we can use them inside of the modules, but the libraries and helpers should be a stateless code shared between modules and can be used or called, but not modified. I think it's quite obvious. So let's assume the facts. Framework consists of the core, sandbox, modules, libraries, and helpers. Core loads modules and inits them passing the sandbox, which in our case is the publisher-subscriber. Modules can be plugged in and out without crashing the app. Modules do not know each other. We can always put new module, we can remove module, then application is scalable, and we can do any configuration of that. Communication between modules through the sandbox only, and this is the must, because that provides our scalability and our goodies into the framework. Modules can use libraries and helpers, but can't change them. I put some code here. Okay. This is example of the module. I used to load scripts, for loading scripts require JS, so we can bind all blocks together with this tool. In module I use jQuery and some helper. I create module. This is the init function. This is a sandbox. We can subscribe, we can publish events, and then we return ready module to work. This is example of modules list. This is a list of our modules, so we can put, we can remove anytime modules. That's a single line of code, and it works. This is a code validating if module has an init function, if module has not such function, it's removed from the list. The core loads the modules, init them, and publish app ready event. And the sandbox is just publisher subscriber. Publishers and subscribers are very popular constructs, so you can find an implementation on GitHub, for example, and put it into the project. That's entire code you can put to your project, and you have the architecture ready. And that's it. It's very simple, and yeah. Thank you very much. We have time for questions? Yeah. Follow me on Twitter.
Any questions?
Yes.
Is there any chance to remove the publisher and subscriber bus? Because it's a global pass between the modules, and that's not kind of something useful.
It's the whole idea of the framework to push every every communication through the sandbox. So it's modules are independent, and when there is no handler, no subscription for such kind of event, nothing happens and nothing is crashed.
So try to remove database and the database instance passed through the
yes,
message bus.
then if we have no database, so the application has no functionality, but it works. It's not crashed in point of view.
It's good.
Code.
Okay.
It's not good, but it's possible to do. We can put in, instead of database, something else, text file.
Hi.
Hi.
The framework you presented here, it was a showcase, or it was a framework you are using in your everyday work?
Yes, in project I use this architecture, exactly this implementation of the architecture. It's quite a big application and it works quite well.
So is it an open source framework? Are there any open source framework which use this kind of idea?
This framework, this few lines of code, it's idea. So the application, the whole value is to construct your code into this framework, but framework itself is the few lines of code. So I think it's some kind of implementation of this is on my GitHub. So you can find the link on my blog here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the last question.
Hello.
Hello.
I want to ask about interconnectedness of the modules and events passed between modules. For me, it sounds a bit complicated. When the application grows, like modules can pass like hundreds of events. How to put it in your head? How to like manage it in a big application?
You have to do a documentation.
That's lame excuse.
Yeah, if you have a list of events published by application and modules, you can write a module which handles another functionality according to these events, or do not write because it is already there.
Maybe there would be like a better idea to put something in the app that's like, I think that I've seen something in your code that's like on the bottom of one slide when you have events, like seeing those events or subscribers to one module. Is there something you're using in the application like that? Or it was only on the slides?
Yes, I use it in this way. You mean this slide?
No, with the boxes, like with the architecture.
Okay.
Yeah, like subscriptions.
Okay.
Do you have something like that in the app?
No, this is a list. In implementation, this list is present as array of its object, event, function, key value, event name, function, event name, function, event name, function.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the last question.
Yeah, we got some time for one more question.
Okay. What does the fox say?
I don't know.
So that's all. Thank you, Kasper. One more applause.